It's Friday, Feedback Friday, the feedbackiest day of the week. Ha! And it is very late. It is actually early Friday morning when I'm recording this because I was going to do Feedback Friday live this week. You guys might remember that. And then at the last minute, as I was about to go to bed, I'm like, scheduling conflict. I have to go to my sister's dress fitting for her wedding today. I can't do live Feedback Friday. I'm doing family stuff. Dumb me. It's been that kind of week. So it is pre-recorded Feedback Friday. I apologize, guys. I'll get it in the next couple weeks. On the bright side, the video about the Democratic National Convention and critical thinking skills did very well view-wise. Surprisingly well. I was kind of stunned. But that's good. The comments were not unsurprisingly critical, but not critical thinking. Here's a few snapshots. No reason for the hate. Tens of thousands of emails proving corruption at the core of the Democratic platform. Tens of thousands of emails showing Clinton broke the law and isn't going to be punished for it. An accusation and some proof for the fact that Bill Clinton was a rapist. Why the fuck do you think I wouldn't be angry? There was nothing about Bill Clinton being a rapist in the Democratic email leak. There was nothing about Clinton breaking the law in the Democratic email leak. It's that no, according to the FBI, Hillary Clinton did not break the law. Whether you like that or not, the FBI is the people who determine whether or not she broke the law. So she didn't break the law. It might be because you are being willfully ignorant when it comes to Clinton, like she can or has done no wrong. I've seen your tweets and it's embarrassing. I didn't say she did nothing wrong. Let's see what else. I do not condone anyone swearing at you on Twitter or calling you names. I hear you saying you are trying to form your opinions, but some of the facts you bring up are off. Too many to list in this space, in fact. And then they go on. They list them. It's actually just a bunch of conspiracy theories. Are you comparing Julian Assange, a guy who was charged with a bogus crime, a crime that doesn't exist in most countries in the world, including the US, and then the supposed victim decided to give up on it, but the government wants to proceed for political reasons with Hillary? No. I'm comparing the fact that Assange is trying to get someone convicted while dodging crimes himself. That's the point. Dodging charges, innocent until proven guilty. But that was the point I was trying to make, that he's trying to fling mud at someone while dodging mud flung at him. It's do as I say, not as I do, no matter how you look at it. I'm sorry, but HRC and the DNC have literally perverted the democratic process. All right. Here we go. Is the Democratic primary a democratic process? It's an internal set of rules. It's not an election with things that really can't be changed unless, you really go out of your way. It's an internal process, and every state organization can decide whether they do a primary or a caucus. They can decide when to hold them. It changes year to year. And if you watch the convention at all, any rules, a roll call vote, anything can be suspended by the will of the party. So no, they haven't perverted the democratic process. The massive difference between the party primaries and the general election is that the parties reserve the right at the end of the day to pick any candidate they choose. Like it or not, that's the reality of the two-party system process. Your question was stupid. Thanks. That's real critical thinking. The reason Bernie shouldn't be considered part of the establishment is because he's not beholden to corporations and lobbyists. Plus, he was an independent until this election, so by and large, he wasn't part of the two-party system. Yes, that's why he didn't really get a warm welcome and he became a Democrat just to run for the leadership. It's the same reason a lot of conservatives don't trust Trump, because he waffled back and forth between parties. How can anyone trust the perpetual liar that is Hillary. Why would anyone want a career politician who made her career out of lying? So she is above the law after she violates multiple federal crimes. Are people really this ignorant? Benghazi? Hello? You guys may have seen the article I did on LeannaKersner.com this week, and I touched on Benghazi and Hillary Clinton. Benghazi, yes. The government en masse screwed up. It wasn't just Clinton. It was also Congress who yanked $270 million out of the State Department's security budget before Benghazi happened. But over the years, and I'm trying to pull this up from memory, but I looked it up on PolitiFact, and there were something like 39 attacks on embassies or embassy staff during the George W. Bush administration. 20 of those resulted in fatalities. 87 people died during George W. Bush's tenure, and 3 of them were Americans. So Benghazi is an anomaly in the fact that an ambassador themselves has not died since 1979, but in terms of lives lost at embassies, it's not so strange. And then there were a couple of great comments thrown in there, and I'm just like, oh, okay, great. I expected this to be a garbage fire. Now the big question is, why did I do it? Because sometimes you have to do these things even though you know people are not going to be rational about them. You guys, couldn't really trust that I was giving you my honest opinion if I played it safe all the time, right? So, I'll tell you when I was surprised by stuff's getting mad. This week it isn't. But a cool comment that I want to share because it's good information. I'm not showing any of these just because I don't know if anybody wants their usernames used. I used to show the comments, and then some people got upset because they claimed it was doxed, so I don't do it anymore. But this is really good, so I'll read it. In reference to the email server, she was guilty of a security infraction defined by DoD Manual 5200.01. An infraction is a security incident involving failure to comply with requirements which cannot reasonably be expected to and does not result in the loss, suspected compromise, or compromise of classified information. An infraction may be unintentional or inadvertent. While it does not constitute a security violation, if left uncorrected, can lead to security violations or compromises. It requires an inquiry to facilitate immediate corrective action, but does not require an in-depth investigation. Was she responsible as the boss? Yes. Was she criminally liable according to the FBI investigation? No. That is an excellent description of the responsibility that Hillary Clinton bears. Now, interestingly, and I say this in the article as well, the Secretaries of State under George W. Bush, Colin Powell and Condoleezza Rice, got around this by executive order. George W. Bush signed an executive order saying that the Secretary of State could classify or declassify documents generated by the State Department at will. So there weren't any of these issues under the Bush administration. And I'm not going to read the other part of that comment because it is a very sane and sober comment about Bernie Sanders versus Clinton, and I don't want the person to get hate. So I'll just say, yes, I did throw out some Yiddish. But yeah, regarding the whole, I'm kind of glad I waited till the conference was over, till the convention was over to comment on this stuff, because I felt very bad for Bernie Sanders at parts of the DNC because of the way some, not all, but some of his supporters behaved at critical moments. I don't think that Bernie Sanders signed up to have his delegates boo the President of the United States or protest the President of the United States. I really don't think, as a guy who's been in government for a very long time, he was the mayor of Burlington, he was in Congress, he was in the Senate, he has been a politician and working within the system for a long time. I really don't think that he expected his supporters to rebel so thoroughly even on him, because I cannot underline, I cannot, overstate the achievement that he managed to influence the party platform. Now, normally the winner sets the policy. In this case, it was actually a negotiation between the two sides. When Obama beat Clinton in 2008, the delegate, not the electoral college, the delegate count, the pledged delegate count was actually closer. It was around 130 something delegates as opposed to the 300 pledged delegate lead that Clinton had over Sanders. And yet, Bernie Sanders managed to influence the Democratic platform in really major ways. If they get it all done, to put this in perspective for you guys listening, if the current Democratic platform gets passed, including debt-free college educations and a $15 minimum wage, then you guys will in some ways be more progressive than Canada in the US. Just think about that. I'm like, man, our country's going to have some catching up to do. And that's because of Bernie Sanders. Instead of recognizing that this is a victory, it was treated like, no, we're angry and we're not going to take this. And protesters happen, especially when you're government. And they happened against Trump too. And I get that people have the right to protest. And I'm glad that the Democratic Party basically went, they didn't try to shut them down except on the last night. Ted Cruz did his thing, but nobody booed Republican speakers at the RNC. There were a couple of protesters, and the Republicans are much more divided than the Democrats are in real terms. No Ted Cruz moment happened at the DNC, right? I just wonder, and people have explained it to me, and this actually does make a certain sort of sense, and this is a fault with Sanders' message to an extent, because I won't say he didn't mean it, but I don't think he thought it through. But the idea that this wasn't his revolution, this was our revolution, and so he didn't actually have the influence, I won't say control because that ain't right, but he didn't have the influence over his supporters to get them to recognize that what happened was a victory. He wasn't bowing his head. He made changes. He influenced the platform. And starting out, before he surged, before people started feeling the burn, that was his stated intent in running. So he got the job done. And I just felt like his own supporters kind of dumped on his moment. I think that in order to really be effective within the political process, as flawed as it is, and do I claim there's no corruption? Of course not. There's corruption all over the place. But guess what, guys? Wherever there are people, there's corruption. And the thing about the DNC emails thing is somebody did resign. And what I've heard is it's not going to be the last person. So now I wanted to leave the good news for last because I'm very happy about this. And I want to share it because this is you guys, okay? There's no accident here. You'll remember that when I did the video on Wednesday, Carry the Challenge was sitting halfway to their $4,500 goal. Well, they're over their goal now significantly. And I know a lot of you guys gave. I know you commented, and I watched the numbers climb. I watched it spike after that video went out, and I couldn't be more thrilled about this. This is going to save people. This is going to mean the difference between people being here to find their hope again and ending it all. And this is big. Like, you know, you may accuse me of being maudlin and making too big a deal about it, but it is a big deal. It is a big deal when people can do something, so they do something, if that makes any sense. And so thank you for that. You know, thank you for giving a damn. Thank you for seeing that you could make a difference, and thank you for making that difference. It's important, and it's important to some very brave people. I mean, I don't believe that either the government of the US or the Canadian government does completely right by veterans. There's still things to improve. So any help that can be, and it's, you know what, I don't even see it as help. I don't even see it as help. It's respect. This is a gesture of respect that we, like I said, we call veterans heroes and we say they're brave. But what the hell do we do about that? A lot of people don't do anything. They won't even give a veteran a job because they're afraid they're going to go postal and kill everybody, which doesn't happen in the vast majority of cases. But when it does, it makes the news. And, you know, when you think about it, other people go postal and they didn't have military service. We're not giving them what they deserve when they come back. And we're not treating them like wounded heroes. We're treating them like sick annoyances, and that's not right. That's not right. We can't say, oh, thank you for your service, and then shaft them. Thanks, but no thanks. No. These people fought and were injured mentally and physically for us, for our way of life, so we can have stupid fights on Twitter and argue about nonsense and complain about the latest episode of Game of Thrones. These are the things that they are losing pieces of their spirit and pieces of their bodies for. And this may seem very frivolous, but it's not. It's all these rights that we talk about casually, that we manipulate for our own purposes, wouldn't exist without a military defending those rights. And that's part of the reason I got so mad at the no more war chanting nonsense, the DNC. There's not a person in the armed services that wouldn't like to see all war stop tomorrow. But that's not reality. And to me, respecting the troops, supporting the troops, means respecting that reality and respecting the fact that they're doing something no one likes. And that's part of the challenge when they come back. That's part of the challenge you guys are helping carry. That's why it's called Carry the Challenge, right? So that was long-winded as a thank you, but I wanted to reiterate how important what you guys did. I know you probably think, oh, what, I gave $1, no big deal, stop making too big a deal about it. No, it is important because you could have chosen not to give that $1. And, you know, you can see it was matched with like only 36 donors, which means some people dumped a ton into it, which is awesome. But I know that a lot of people gave like small donations, a couple of bucks. And you could have chosen not to give a couple of bucks and said, I don't have it, and then got out and bought a Starbucks, like so many keyboard warriors I see doing it. And to the people who gave, that's what makes you different than them. The next time somebody starts giving you a mouthful of moral relativism, remember this. And remember that you did something in real terms. Yeah, it was only a couple bucks, but you did it. Which is more than a lot of these outrage warriors do that only kick money to something when it's one of their friends. And that's what makes you different than the people who just try to run people down online. So take this and hold it and use it as something of a shield for the next time that those bullies, I'll come right out and say it, try to make you feel bad, okay? Try to make you feel, because you don't deserve to feel that bad. If you're a regular listener to this, a regular viewer of this YouTube channel, I keep saying listener because I'm so used to radio. When I talk to myself, it tends to be, you know, historically in a radio context, so I say listener, but no, you're viewers. But, you know, if you're a viewer of this channel, you are prepared to be challenged. And most of you, the vast majority of you, were prepared to be civil. Yeah, you get mad sometimes. But that's far from being a troll. You know, getting angry and hitting below the belt are not the same thing. So that's me giving back to you guys giving to me doing push-ups, which really hurt. And I will leave it there. So I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday.